Okay, so I learned that part not to listen to people that everybody's gonna tell you these horrible stories about New York. Okay, so I learned that part. Now I needed to learn English. My mother said, you have to learn English. Our relatives, our friends in Miami, they have been since the 1950s and they still don't freaking learn English. And I don't want you to be like that, okay? So if you learn English, you're gonna get a better job. And then she said, Americans don't like people that don't speak English because the only job you're gonna get is washing cars, okay? And maybe be clean their houses, their toilet. They're gonna treat you like shit. You have to learn English. So I said, okay, I have to learn English. Then she said, you cannot watch anything. You cannot talk to people. I'm gonna take you to a neighborhood where only Americans, so you can learn English. So I said, okay. So my mother was living in Manhattan at the time, and then we moved. She's right after I came from Miami. She looked for an apartment, and we went to live in what the hell was it called? Oh, Astoria. That was our first place, Astoria. Was it our first place? No, I'm sorry. It was Jackson Heights. No, I'm sorry. It was Woodside. Our first place was Woodside. I don't know how many of you know Woodside in Queens. And so, fine, my mother's making me do things, you know, sending me to the store. And then she says to me, okay, now you have to learn English. And the only way to learn is if I send you to do errands. So I'm going to tell you what to do, what to say, and then that's how you're going to learn, okay? So I said, okay. First mistake. She says to me, she sent me to Key Food. They said, what do they call that? A supermarket called Key Food, like 5 doors from my house. Not a house. We live in an apartment. She says, go there and tell them you want this and this and that. Okay. She told me if you cannot find it, you're going to ask for the butcher and ask the butcher to do this and this and that. But she gave me such a fucking long, explanation and so much direction that by the time I got there, I forgot almost half of the shit. So I figured, maybe I don't need to talk to the freaking anybody there because I don't want to speak English because forget it. So I'm in there looking at the piece of meat, and then I decided I'm going to practice my English, okay? Because I couldn't find the piece. So this guy comes to me and say, it was the manager. I don't know what he said because I don't remember now, but I imagine he said something like, how can I help you? I imagine, unless he was a pedophile, I don't know. I think it was the manager. I don't think it was a pedophile because he didn't touch me or anything. But I know he said something, and I went, can I speak to the pastor? And he looked at me shocked, his eyes. And I went, can I speak to the pastor? And he goes, pastor? I go, so I tried to explain to him what I was trying to say, because this is one thing. When I learned English, I always had to use my hands, okay? I always had to explain people, make a picture of what I was trying to say. So I took my hand and made believe I was cutting, the meat. And I said, like, in other words, I made believe that I had a knife and that I was cutting meat, So I made believe I was a knife and I was going, the bastard that cut the meat, okay? The freaking guy, shocked. His eyes were, forget it. And he tells me, I don't know what he said. I think he said, no here, or something. Because that's another thing. When you don't speak English, or if you speak a little bit, or even now, people still do it to me. They talk to me like, like the movies, the Indians in the movies. What the hell was the name of that video? Not video. It was a TV show. The Lone Ranger. Remember Toro? I think it was Toro, his friend. Or Toro was the horse. I don't know. But he had a friend. It was an Indian. And they always talk, in the movies, they used to always go like, my name, Toro. your name what? Or something like that. Well, that's the way they talk to you when they see that you're a foreigner. They go, and they scream too. They go like, what is your name on? Okay? Or they go, they always put an O in the English word, because when you put the O, any word in English, if you put an O, it becomes Spanish. Okay? So they go, do you speak English? Do you speak English? Okay? And now I know I don't need to know English. I know if it says speako, it means speak. Okay? Immediately. That's amazing. You know, it's amazing the way, you know, how language works. And so, by the way, I learned this, you know, living in the United States, that they're freaking super amazing in here. How they're able to change. I mean, I went to school to learn languages, okay? Because I wanted to learn Italian and French. And I went for 5 years listening to a fucking boring teacher there, blah, 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 blah. I'm from France, blah, 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 ooh la la. And all I needed to do is put an O at the end. In French, you put an A, okay? So you said, you speak you know, you want to say, let's say you want to say table, you say table, and now you don't need to go to school. Now you know French, okay? So they do that with me. They'll be like, speak, you know, so I know he said something about like, he screamed something, and I know, well, I didn't understand at the time this type of Spanish, you know, at the time I didn't know that you put an O, so I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. So he said, basically said, not here. So I figured, well, he's not there. So I went home and I told my mom, and my mom, of course, she rehearsed me, like, what did you say? I said, well, I said, the pastor who cut the meat. My mother said, oh my God. She said, not the pastor. And I go, why not? He goes, do you know what the pastor is? And I go, the guy who cuts the meat? He goes, no. Pastor means son of a bitch. Basically, she told me that in Spanish. She said, hijo de puta. Okay, that's how you say in Spanish. And I went, I called the guy son of a bitch. She goes, yes, actually worse. You called him, basically you said his mother was a whore. Okay? And I went, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. Like, now I can never go to the supermarket. My God. And she goes, not only that, that's why he told you the butcher wasn't there. And then you show him that, like, you have a knife, so he thinks that you're going to go kill the butcher. You go, oh my God, I was so fucking embarrassed. Now I can never go to the supermarket again. She said, no, you have to be strong. Go back. Don't worry, you have to be very strong. In New York, you cannot be a little sissy, okay? You cannot be embarrassed. You cannot be with fear, all that shit. No, because you're not going to make it here. So I was like, oh my God. Well, no wonder I get anxiety now. So I was like, oh my God, I got to go back and face these people. That's too much. Oh my God. Anyway, that she says to me, the next time she goes, you're going to get a haircut. And you're going to tell the guy you want a blow dryer. Not blow dry, I'm sorry. A blow dry. And because that was the thing, you know, now you say, you know, I want you to do my hair. But now you have to say like specific names. It was in the 80s. And so you have to say like blow dry, you know, blow job, whatever it is. Well, actually, you know where I'm going with this. I went to this hair salon. The guy was Italian, young guy, and he just do old ladies. All the old ladies with black dresses from, you know, they were like, you know, that's another thing. Spanish, Italians, when the husband died, they wear all black. And they wear black forever and ever and ever. Okay, so there were all these old Italian ladies sitting in there with that thing, you know, that thing that they put on the head to dry. It's like a dryer. They were all sitting in there with it looked like they were, I don't know what the hell they call that. I don't know the name, but it's a dryer, and they look like they're going to the moon, you know, like so one of those machines, I don't know what the hell they call them. And they were sitting in there, and they all, you know, when you're there waiting and waiting, you have nothing to do, everybody stare at me. And I walk in, and the guy goes, how can I help you? I know he said, how can I help you? Because by then, every place I go, everybody says the same shit. How can I help you? So I knew that word. And he said, how can I help you? And I said, I need a blowjob. And wait, it's nothing in there. The guy goes, look at me in shock. And all the other ladies almost fainted. They all look at me